Okay, I did it right this time. Okay, guys. Hi, happy Monday, first Monday of April. Today I wanted to talk about something that is so near and dear to me that I struggle with, and I know a lot of people struggle with, and it is the difference between selling online and influencing someone's buying decision. How often do you get caught up or you hear people say, I'm no good at sales, or I don't want to be a salesperson? How many times have you maybe thought, I don't want to be a salesperson? What if we just talk about how you influence someone's buying decision? I know that sounds different. It is selling, but it sounds different. So I want you, this is gonna require you guys either chiming in or typing in the chat some. I want you to think about your personal social media, not your page, but your, like, when you log into Instagram or you log on to TikTok or you log on to Facebook, who do you follow? Aside from your family and friends, who do you follow? Throw out names, put them in the chat, whatever it is you're comfortable with, but who are you following? And how did you find them? Like, I mean, let me open mine and try not to embarrass myself. But when I go to my Instagram, some of the first people that are going to pop up for me that are non-family or friends, there's a girl called Dainty. What is her whole thing? Dainty something, Dainty Diaries. Anyway, she gardens. She's a gardener. I actually found her on YouTube, and now I follow her on Instagram. There's Lavelle. There's this girl, Kristen I don't know how to say her last name. Actually, Samantha, I should send her to you because she lives in Chandler, I believe. She's an interior designer. I found her through someone else's post because so the things that I am looking at or searching for are my fives. Remember our conversation about our fives we've had for years? So obviously I love gardening. I love interior design. I love animals. I follow this Pretty in the Pines. She is a designer. Laura Floral, obviously a flower gardener, right? So I have found those people either by searching the topic, in the one case, it was from a YouTube video, but the majority of the people have found me through the algorithm, right? So how many of you are like, I followed this person because it popped up in my feed one day and it was exactly who I wanted to follow. She spoke about this topic that I love, or she shared something really smart, right? Like, do you guys have connections with people, like connections, as connected as you can be on social media? Do you have connections like that on your social media? Like people that you adore, like people that you look forward to, like oh my gosh, I wonder what's in their story today. But you didn't actually search them out. Like I never got online and said, find Laura Floral. I never knew her. But at some point in time, I had searched or communicated enough or interacted enough, I should say, with cut flower farmers that Instagram popped her up on my feed for me one day, right? How many of you follow people that you were fed? That's what I call it. You were fed. Maybe TikTok fed you this person, maybe Facebook sponsored a post that showed up on your feed and you're like, oh, interesting, and you clicked on it, right? So when you start thinking about these people, do you know their real names? Right? So there's Laura Floral. That's not her real name. But do you know her? Do you know some of these people's real names? The Dainty Diary girl, that's obviously not her real name, but I do know her real name because I follow her, right? I watch her stories. I see what she's posting. I watch her YouTube videos. So I know her name. Do you know the people that you're following? Do you know where they live? Colleen Nichols, No Shame Sales Game. Yes. Now, was Colleen fed to you? Or maybe, like, I could totally see that being fed to you on Instagram because of you're in network marketing and so on and so forth. So did you know her name was Colleen Nichols, or did you first just know No Name Sales Game? Right?
I just knew it was No Shame Sales Game. And then after following her, I realized her name's Colleen Nichols.
Okay. Do you know where she lives?
No.
Okay. Do you know what her job is? That's kind of an easy one. So yes. Do you know if she has children?
She doesn't have kids, but she has a Great Dane puppy.
Okay. Is she married?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Why does it matter to me that you guys know so much about people that you don't truly know? Because that's how we're going to build our business. Yes, you can go out and meet people. Yes, your cousin's friend's brother's coworker might want to thrive with you. But if you can start becoming the person who people are following because they're into you for who you are. I'm not asking anyone to be anybody that they're not. Like, I don't want anybody to be like, I've got to pretend to be, I don't know, into cooking. I've got to pretend, like, no, just who you are. We all got to know Colleen Nichols through the No Shame Sales Game, but we all started to really adore her because she showed her face. We heard her voice. She wasn't always dolled up and ready to go. She didn't always say the perfect thing, right? We related to her. And honestly, you get to the point with these people that you're following that you don't truly know, but yet you know them so well that if they pull up a cup that they picked up at Target that afternoon that they thought is so freaking cute, you mentally make a note. And the next time you're at Target, you find that cup and you buy it, right? How many of you have done that? How many of you have bought something because somebody online showed it to you haphazardly, thought it was cute, but you love everything else they talk about. So of course you want the cup that they're drinking out of, right? Look at the freaking Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup cracks me up because I am 48. And when we used to drink out of Stanley Cups, it was your hot chicken noodle soup that you took to school. Or it was for my dad, who we put a ton of coffee in and sent him in the truck for the day. Like, Stanley was never anything that was cool, but it just took a couple of people to make it cool, right? So we're going to talk about what it takes to influence people to make thriving cool. And now when I say that, how I thrive and why I thrive is very different from how Courtney thrives or why Courtney thrives, right? We're all very different in what we do, but our version is the cool version that someone's going to come to. So I did a little research because I wanted to be intelligent about our conversation. But it talks about the power of social media influencers. They are not just pretty faces and opinionated people, right? How many of you are like, I can't talk on my stories today because I didn't do my hair, or I can't take a picture today or make a post today because I'm a mess. How many have you ever stopped yourself from making a post, or like maybe you were going to talk in your stories, but instead you flip the camera around and show something and not your face because you've got a zit, or your hair's a mess, or you got mud on your face, right? Well, it's not about being a pretty face. Social marketing media influencers, they inform us about trends, news. And when I say news, I don't mean the world news. I mean the news that's relevant to them, that you relate to. They build communities where people can connect. That's a huge one we're going to get into. They even shape our opinions and our behavior with that kind of power. And please remember, that is a power. That is it's not really a privilege, but it's a very powerful position to be in when you have influence over another human. There's no doubt that they won't go anywhere soon, right? So influence marketing is going to be around it's been around for a long time. It's just been called different things. A lot of times it was called celebrity endorsement, but thanks to the interwebs, you don't have to be a celebrity, which is wonderful. And more businesses will be utilizing it. And how many, so again, I'll go back to the Colleen Nichols example. If you guys follow her, have you noticed all the companies that are coming out now with their ambassador programs or their influencer programs? People are finally understanding that what we do in network marketing is what everybody is going to do to sell anything eventually. I have not sat through a commercial on TV or on YouTube or on a podcast, or I haven't sat through, I fast forward, skip it, whatever you got to do, right? I haven't picked up the newspaper. I haven't looked at a newspaper ad in forever. I was super excited. My mom had been gone, for the winter or whatever. And I went to her house and they had all these magazines. And I was like, oh, fun magazines. I brought them home. I never looked through a single one of them because I was too busy looking through whatever I wanted to look through on my phone. I didn't even open these magazines with all these pretty pictures that I thought were going to be amazing, right? So a lot of those things may not ever fully go away, but attention, that's not where people are paying attention. People are paying attention to social media, and they're paying attention to what the algorithm is feeding them. And the reason it's so important to understand that is because if over the last 8 years, I had talked about dogs, dinosaurs, hockey, I don't know. If I talked about the most random things and I never really had a theme, the algorithm wouldn't really know who to feed me to. But I'm pretty consistent in who I am. I love my plants. I love to travel. I love my animals and I love my nephews. Done. That's me in a nutshell, right? And so I've been so repetitive about that enough that when I get people who are like clicking on my maybe a reel or clicking on an Instagram post or something, I don't know them, but they found me because guess what? When I click on them, they're into gardening or they've got a wiener dog or something like that. So that's how you can, the algorithm can really truly help you if you stay consistent. So I'm going to break down 5 ways that influencers actually help guide someone's decision or how they kind of become an influencer. So influencers create community. This is a really big thing. And so being in network marketing, I think we talk a lot about community anyway. And so think about like the community we have as a team, right? We all relate to each other because we're all thrivers. We're all trying to build a business. We're all females, basically expect on the screen right now. We all relate, and some of us relate more on different topics than others, but as a community, we're all connected. So when a social media influencer has a niche that they focus on throughout their careers, they have a way of developing an online community. So for example, if I talk about gardening all the time, I'm eventually going to have established a community of people who hang out together online, and our community is about gardening. We answer each other's tips about bugs or fertilizer, or we share our triumphs, right? Or we talk about greenhouses, like that would be the thing, right? So that's how you're gonna build your community. So remember, we've got our top 5. You don't have to be, I don't only have to talk about gardening. I don't make any money talking about gardening. So let me make that really clear to you. I will talk about gardening because I love it. I will attract people who also love it, but then I have to turn my love of gardening and I have to relate it to my love of Thrive. And it's only from there that I could take someone who's following, like, let's say somebody's following me because they love the flowers I plant. If I show my passion enough while I'm planting flowers, if I talk enough about having the energy to be able to dig in the dirt nonstop, even though my body hurts, and how I maybe take a move gel when I'm done gardening because Thrive is amazing and it's what helps me get through the day and garden and garden and garden, that's going to bring somebody into my money making circle, right? If you're spending all day talking about, I don't know, who can I pick on? Like Sandra does all her, Sandra's an excellent cook. She shares recipes. She talks about healthy recipes. Why are healthy recipes important to her? Well, because she's taking care of her body, just like how she's eating well. She's also using her Thrive, right? So that community that she's creating will also cross back to the thing that she loves that she's getting paid to love. Because I could share all day long my favorite gardening gloves, my favorite spade, my favorite place to buy seeds. But guess what? None of those places are going to give me any money for doing so. So while I will talk about that, because I do want to establish trust with people, I don't have to get paid for everything I talk about, right? I will also be very conscious to then throw in my favorite way to get over muscle soreness from gardening, right? Okay, so influencers aren't just marketing mouthpieces. So it clearly says they are thought leaders who start conversation. Start conversation. When was the last time you made a post that ended with a question that had something to do with one of your 5s, right? When was the last time you got a conversation started amongst people who were part of your 5s and interested into your 5s? They also drive engagement. So they don't just ask the question, they then go back and they engage with people. They connect people. So maybe I ask, what's your favorite gardening glove? And 4 people answer me, and then one girl makes a really great comment someplace about, I don't know, I'm making this up, a gardening glove for wet soil. And then later on, somebody asks, yeah, but I can't find one for wet soil. And I connect them and refer them, right? I'm engaging, I'm encouraging engagement with my community. I set trends. So how do you set trends? It's that damn Stanley Cup example again. You guys, if the right people hold up the right product enough, if they have established themselves as a social media influencer that people trust, when they hold up something, it becomes a trend. They also can stay relevant by participating in trends. So you could get a Stanley Cup if you wanted. They also collaborate with companies, right? And what do? We collaborate with companies. So it's creating a community that people can be part of that has engaging conversation with other people in that community. So if when you're making a Facebook post, if your goal that day is like, I'm going to get 2 new customers versus I'm going to reach out and talk to people in my community who maybe are starting to do their weekend gardening. Maybe they've been mulching, maybe they've been moving rock and their bodies are hurting. I'm going to get a conversation started about that. Like, how do people recover from that over the weekend? And then I'm going to engage and talk about how I use Move Gel with no shame. Because if I said to them, I take 4 Advil, I would have no shame in telling someone that, right? So why would I go in and be like, I use Move Gel, but then put my tail between my legs because I don't want people to think I'm selling anything? No, I'm going to tell them what I do. So again, I know I always go to gardening references. It is who I am. Think of this in your realm. What is it that you do, right? What are your 5s? Influencers bring attention to important causes. So it's like a form of social activism, and that can go a lot of different ways. So it could be something as funny as I made a post today about siblings and how if you have a sibling, you're like better off in life because it's just funny. But if you go look at my post and you read the comments, everyone in there is a sibling with an older sibling who like beat the crap out of them. And so right there's a little niche community, right? And so it could be something funny like, who is abused by their older, whose older sister used to beat the crap out of them. So there's that. Or it could even be something as far reaching in social activism as, a voice for women who have been sexually abused, right? It can go anywhere in between that line. But influencers can also, they can use their position. And by the way, if you have one friend or one follower on any form of social media, you have influence. Straight up, you have influence with one person. You guys, I made pasta salad yesterday because Sandra Dilbeck showed a picture of pasta salad a couple of days ago. And I was like, that looks so good. That's how easy it is to influence people, right? If I didn't know Sandra, I might not have trusted her in the moment to do it. But because she's gained my trust over the years, I knew right away it was a good thing to do. So even if I was Sandra's only follower in life, had she been selling that pasta, I would have bought it. You see where I'm going? Like you've got to.
And today I'm going to add another level to it because today I'm going to cook shrimp.
See?
And add shrimp to the salad and say, hey, tweak what you can do with it if you still got some left over.
So you're saying I have to go buy shrimp now. Okay. But so when people are partaking in like the important causes or raising awareness, it could be raising awareness of anything, right? Like I said, it could be pet adoption. It could be a football fundraiser, right? You can use your social influence to do those things. Goodwill posts don't go unnoticed. So if you guys think back, and this is so funny, this came up because the memories were popping up over the last week or so. When COVID first hit and everyone got sent home except for medical workers, I made a post that if you were in the medical field, I would send you Thrive. I would send you 3 days of Thrive to try. That was, in a way, social activism, standing up for an important cause. And it was a goodwill post. It was like, what can we do to help people? So if you have something in your 5s that you support, that you love, like for me, it would be animals, it would be rescues. I could make a post about, hey, I'm doing XYZ, all the profits, proceeds, whatever, are going to this charity. That is, again, how you can build influence and guide people in where to put their money. Like maybe somebody's been thinking, I love animals, I want to do something too, but I don't know where to do it. But then I make a post about it. It's going to give them an influence to buy. It's a goodwill post, so that's a feel-good post, right? It's somebody that they've learned to trust, somebody who's into the same thing they are. And it's something that's coming from the goodness of your heart. And so people, I mean, you guys know, this is going to sound bad, but you guys know people who only show up on Facebook when they want something or need something. And like nothing is good coming out of this. And then people who are truly like, oh, wow, that's a good, genuine person who's trying to do something nice. So I think back to like when Samantha had her salon in Jamestown and you guys did like that cut-a-thon, right? So Sam had been building her social media influence as a thriver for a long time, but then she even solidified herself as a human who could be trusted because she was doing these cut-a-thons for people in the neighborhood or the city, right? So it's not always about, so your social influence also has to prove that you are trustworthy and that you have a good heart. And there's not a single person on our team that doesn't have a good heart. So that should be easy for you. Again, A post like that's going to spark conversation. And something like that costs absolutely nothing to do, right? So if you made a goodwill post about a charity you really care about or a topic you really care about, that's from the goodness of your heart, and it doesn't cost you anything, and it could benefit someone in the long run. Okay, the third thing, influencers affect our decision through our desire to belong. This is a big one, you guys. This is like that Stanley Cup conversation again. And I'm going to read some of this, and I don't want to miss it. If you take a deeper dive into how influence marketings work their magic, the concept of social proof, which we talk about this a lot, social proof, right? Our testimonials. The concept of social proof states that people will assume something is correct if others have already assumed it. So that's like Testimonial Tuesday or Shout Out Saturday, or when you see the last couple of days of March when people were hitting their rank bonuses. Enough of that starts to show up on someone's feed. If one rank bonus popped up on your feed and you never heard of it again, A, probably wouldn't register, B, like whatever, is probably a scam. But when you just keep seeing it over and over and over and over that all these people are doing it, you're like, dang, that's real. Like it's happening, it's real, right? That's social proof. When enough people say, hey, Thrive helps me sleep better, now you have social proof. And once you have social proof, people, it's that mob mentality. People will jump onto that. For example, if a large number of people like and share an image of some really weird outfit, or let's say if a large number of people like and share an image of a Stanley tumbler, it automatically obtains legitimacy as the next cup to have. Like, you can't tell me somebody somewhere at Stanley Corporate isn't like, I don't know who held that cup up first, but thank God they did, because we are finally in the black again, right? We are no longer for the construction workers lunchbox.
Hey, Tammy.
Yeah.
What's funny about the Stanley Cup is Colleen Nichols did a whole thing about the Stanley Cup.
Oh, I'll have to go find it.
Stanley actually decided to change who they were marketing to, which I think is hilarious. If you think about the beginning of Thrive and who they were marketing to, they didn't realize that any sort of younger generation was going to be into Thrive. They were thinking it was going to be like older women and like men, whatever. And so they decided, what if, Yeti got so popular? So what if we marketed to like moms and women, and they changed who they were speaking to, and they were leaving out a whole entire demographic of people because they were only marketing to fishermen, hunters, campers, men. Like, they changed up who they were talking to, and it's like a whole fresh look. So anyway.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'll have to go find it and listen to it too. And you guys, women are, and you guys know this, you're a woman and you're in a household. Women are who spend the money. Okay, that example that Samantha just gave, a fisherman who buys a metal Stanley thermos, he's going to buy one. He's going to buy it for life. It's literally going to have to get run over before he goes and gets another one. A woman's going to buy a white one, and then a pink one, and then in the summer, maybe a red one for red, white, and blue, and then in the fall, right? So again, what do we have that's like that? Our DFTs, they change. They're seasonal. Our shake flavors, they're seasonal. So again, whoever you're talking to, talk to the women. And think about our male thrivers. How many of them started before their wives? I don't know of a single, maybe one. I can maybe think of one. So think about that. Like, think about, like she said, who you're talking to. But so we all have a desire to belong. And so in the case of the Stanley Cup, or in the case of like our Flex Fridays, where we're all showing our DFTs, there's a little in someone's mind, like that moment where they're like, oh, I wanna be a part of that. Like when you show enough pictures of your team at Thrive Palooza, when you show enough pictures of a getaway where you're hanging out with people, I want to belong. People want to belong to that, right? So does everybody want to belong to that? No. But how do you find the people that want to belong to that? You got to show it, right? Because you have to attract them to you. Let me see. So in our brain's hardwiring, we don't simply use social proof to obtain and analyze facts. We also have an emotional reaction to the influencer's marketing. So again, when somebody was like, I just got the pink DFTs 2 weeks ago, I don't need the breast cancer ones, or I don't need the new purple ones. Well, that's a fact, but emotionally, maybe they want the breast cancer one. So at the next event, they can all have matching DFTs, or you know what I'm saying? Or they want to be current with the seasons. So again, it's using that emotional connection that a person will have with an influencer, and that influencer is you, because they trust you and they want to have what you have and they want to belong to what you're belonging to. Because influencers because of their perceived authority and social proof, followers feel compelled to incorporate new information into their own preferences and decisions. I bet there's a lot of people out there with Stanley tumblers who never in their lifetime thought they would carry one. But somebody that they follow did. I mean, you guys look at the Kardashians. Butt implants became a thing. People were literally going in surgery, having their booties opened up and having implants put in. And if they couldn't afford that, they were buying fake booties to wear under their pants. That scientifically and factually makes no sense. But people wanted to belong. They wanted to be a part of that. They wanted to have that life, right? So not everyone, thank God I didn't follow that, but people will go to what they're attracted to. Okay, the fourth thing, I'm sorry, I'm running out of time here too. I get off here. Influencers share information that we might have otherwise missed. So most things that you're scrolling through on your social media, your brain just registers it as spam, right? It's either an ad that's going through that you don't know the person or the products, you just keep going. But when all of a sudden the person that you do trust, like all of a sudden, let's say I'm scrolling through and I see Carolyn holding something, and I know Carolyn and I followed her and I've loved stuff that she shared, my brain filters that out from my spam category and brings it into my zone, right? So because like maybe Carolyn is saying or showing the same thing that I scroll past 5 times that other people were showing me, but because I follow Carolyn and I trust her, now I'm actually following that. So it says by classifying these sources as spam, our brain doesn't let us pay attention to them. Influencers can be a solid, incredible source of information since they interact with their audience on different levels. So again, if I've gone into some conversation that we had about gardening gloves and I recommended something to somebody and they thought that was amazing, I even connected them to someone else to talk to it about, I'm trustworthy in their mind, right? I've earned credibility in their mind that I've talked to them about something. So now when I talk about my move gel for gardening, I'm trustworthy, right? It's not a salesy, spammy thing. And then the last thing I want to cover real quick before we hop off here, influencers, and this is a big one. I waited till the end. Influencers feel as though they are your friends that you can relate to. And this brings me back to those questions I was asking. Do you know, are they married? Do you know if they have kids? Samantha knew that Colleen had a Great Dane, right? Like we know things about them. Content creators are seen as down to earth or just like me versus like a celebrity influencer, because we can relate to them on a human level and we want to connect with them. Consumers look up to content creators as role models. They copy their actions and behaviors when the influencer feels like a friend. So to be a friend, oftentimes you have to share. So it even talks about like to feel closer. They will share things like personal things like that maybe you would only share with a friend, like a true friend. And I know that can be touchy, but think about the people you know. So, and I'll just go back to Colleen because we've been using her. You know, she's got a Great Dane. She's very comfortable sharing that bit of her personality and her personal life with people, right? We don't know all the details about her children. We don't know all the details about her vacation home, right? So you don't have to share everything with everybody, but the things that you do choose to share, you got to share them like you're talking to your best friend. So if I'm going to talk about my dogs, you know, it doesn't mean I have to talk about my actual children. It doesn't mean I have to share my address. Like, you know, remember, it's social media. There are crazy people out there, but I do have to talk about like, if I was talking about Radar, you guys know I love Radar, but he is crazy. So if I got on Facebook all the time and I just talked about this perfect dog Radar, and I only showed these perfect pictures of Radar, and I didn't talk about how he whines a lot, he's on Prozac, he's petrified of storms, like no one cares if you have the perfect dog, but somebody is going to care and follow and feel compassion and empathy and connected to me if they have a dog who's afraid of storms that they have to drug. If they have a dog who was a rescue that was, you know, abused and so not like, do you see what I'm saying? You've got to, if you're going to share something, share it all the way down to the intimate details so that somebody can feel like they're your friend. So I think a lot of times it's tempting for us to be like, yeah, I've got this amazing job and this great car out there and blah, blah, blah. That's nice and that's wonderful. And other thrivers will understand what you mean. But if you're trying to attract somebody, maybe you need to talk about how you are so glad that you don't worry anymore about ending up on the side of the highway because your tire fell off and your kids were in the back seat and it was raining and it was dark. Now you know you have a solid car that you can drive. Do you see how different that is? How much more intimate that is? How someone's going to relate more to that than they are, oh, wow, good for you. You have a fancy car. Right. So I know this was a lot in a very short period of time, but I think it's really important that when you start looking at your social media, whether it be your stories, your TikToks, your posts, whatever, that you remember everything you're doing is creating your community. It's helping people feel like they know you, like they are your friend. You could use your social media for good. And you can also use that social media to bring people to you. Grateful to have a car that, yeah, exactly, that doesn't blow up. Sandra had the opportunity to trade in the car that did blow up and get a different car. And if she didn't have that Lavelle security, she probably wouldn't have been able to do that. So that's a conversation versus, oh my God, I got another new car, right? Like I actually saw this morning, there's this girl from town. Her kids are always in matching outfits. Everyone's always pristine and perfect. And they were already having their first beach photo shoot of their perfect spring break, blah, 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 whatever. I literally scroll past it because it's the same old story. Now, had she shown me the baby crying on the airplane and somebody passed out, I would have responded to that. I would have understood that a whole lot better than perfect matching. Yeah, I know you know who I'm talking about, Sandra, but I don't feel connected to that person because she's perfect and that's all she shares. Whereas I would rather be connected to someone. If she told me something to buy, I'm going to be like, I'm not buying that. I don't have a perfect life. That doesn't jive with my lifestyle. But if she showed me the crying baby and her kid passed out and talked about how she got into an argument with her husband because he waited till the last minute to pack and didn't have everything, I'm going to buy whatever that girl says because she and I are best friends, right? Like I'm going to get that. Okay. So lots of stuff. I know I went over it fast. Yeah.
Tammy, can I say something really quick? I'm
Please.
driving, so that's why I
Yeah.
don't have my camera on. Just to share with you a little story. My younger sister has a crazy talent to do photography and she loves it. She loves to be outside. Her and her kids go to the Georgia state parks. They're trying to hit all the national parks. And that's their life. They hike, they take trips, they do all these things. And she applied to be an ambassador for this company, Try something. I can't even think of it. And I told her, I said, just fill out the form, send them a couple of pictures. And what's it going to hurt,
Right.
And I really had to push her because she's like, they're never going to pick me, blah, blah, blah. Can I just tell you that last week she got a email from them, and of over 35 applicants, they chose my little sister
Aww.
to be their first ambassador to their online company, and they're sending her a couple of shirts to wear and get her picture made in. And I mean, she's relatable. And they said that of all the applications, you fit us best. What you've posted, what you've shown. So, and she's just being herself. Like I said, she's a mom of 4. They enjoy being outdoors. They enjoy hiking. It doesn't hurt that she's stinking skinny and gorgeous, but that's neither here nor there, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, just like you're saying, people are out there looking for genuine and people just being themselves. So anyway, one, I'm super proud of my sister. And 2, I just thought it was really relatable to what you're talking about today.
I'm super proud of you for encouraging your sister to do that because you know how powerful social media can be because you do that for a living. Well, you'll have to let us know like what it is so we can keep our eye out for it.
I will. It's so funny because when she sent me the screenshot of the email, she's like, I know you told me. And that's exactly what I said back to her. I'm like, I freaking told you so. I told you could do it. So anyway, but yeah, it was such a cool thing when she sent me that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Well, good. Well, hopefully some of these tips help you guys just think a little bit more. Like a lot of times people will just throw out a post haphazardly. I've done it myself. Like I've been in a hurry. I'm like, I got to make a post today. And I've also been caught in the trap where I'm like, oh my gosh, so-and-so made an amazing post, or so-and-so is always so pretty in her post, blah, blah, blah. Good. That's good. That's good for her and her people. Like, what's good for me and my people? Who do I want to attract into my life? Who is gonna want to talk about flowers nonstop while they listen to a dog whining in the background, right? Like, that's my girl. Like, that's who I want to talk to. So just be yourself, use the influence that you have, and be secure, be comfortable in what you are sharing and talking about, because that is what's going to establish your authority on the subject, whatever it might be. It's going to establish your credibility as a human that people can trust. And the more, it only takes like, okay, so right before we started, Sandra said she got a new accountant. She's not totally crazy. I'm like, I love our new guy. You know how I love our new guy? Because my cousin loved the new guy. You know how he knew it? Because a friend of his knew it before, right? So that one person trusting the accountant resulted in 4 or 5 people now going to that accountant. So talk to the people who are talking to you, create credibility within them, and word will spread and people will come. I promise. Anyway, bye.